Welcome, you're listening to Passages. This is episode 4. I'm Drew. I've got Tim and Jason with me, and we've just got an exciting episode planned for you tonight. The background work into this show is unreal.
It really is.
The technical difficulties and perhaps maybe some non-technical difficulties make it a little challenging sometimes.
Right, yeah. We meant to be about 20 minutes ahead of where we are right now on this Wednesday evening, when we're just fresh as daisies.
We'd like to say hello to our fan. Hope you're doing well.
Thanks for listening, Dad.
Yeah, your dad is a listener.
He is a listener, yeah. I think
Loyal listener. Yeah. Well, like I said, we got some great stories. Tim, why don't you just get us started here with
All right,
your first one?
let's start tonight. This is always fun because I'm pretty sure that any article that I select at this point has also been selected by Jason.
Yeah, I brought extras just in case tonight.
Right, so we'll do some comparison here in a moment. Dateline, Savannah, Georgia. A $1.4 million speeding ticket surprised a Georgia man before officials clarified the situation. A Georgia man was left reeling after receiving a $1.4 million speeding ticket, but city officials say the figure was just a placeholder, not the actual fine. Connor Cato tells WSAV-TV in Savannah that he received the citation after getting pulled over in September for driving 90 miles an hour in a 55 zone. He called the court thinking the figure was a typo, but says he was told he either had to pay it or appear in court in December. Savannah officials say anyone caught driving more than 35 miles an hour above the speed limit has to appear in court where a judge will determine the actual fine. The figure Cato received reflected a placeholder that was automatically generated by e-citation software used by the local recorder's court, said Joshua Peacock, a spokesman for Savannah city government. The actual fine can't exceed $1,000 in addition to state-mandated cost.
So why would you put the placeholder? I'm trying to figure out how
1.4 million
this
is a long way
from
1,000. Right?
Why not somewhere between 0 and 1,000 for your placeholder?
You know how people, I've spent 35 years of my career dealing with like billing systems for a large undisclosed telecommunications company, and people like to blame the system, right, as if it was not created by man. Mm-hmm. But I'm guessing that when they unwrapped the old e-citation software system, that old Leroy who coded that part said, it'd be funny if I put $1.4 million in the placeholder over here, and then we send it out to everybody, and they'll replace it. They'll see it. I mean, surely.
So that means
they'll see
more
it,
than
right?
More than this one guy received a ticket for $1.4 million. He's just the only one that called the news.
Right. Right. And I'm guessing that more than the city of Savannah uses this. So someone probably goes in and changes this, or the first person who gets one of these 35 plus mile an hour letters gets a surprise.
I'm sure once
joke.
I picked myself up off the floor after opening something stating I owed $1.4 million, that I would be pretty hacked off about it.
And then you got the joker who answered the phone when he called and said, hey, you either pay it or come to court.
I'm just telling you, that's the rule.
Yeah, I don't make the rules. Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
Pay $1.4 million or come to court.
It'd really just be easier if you paid the $1.4 million.
I want to know, did it say how fast he was going?
He was going 90 miles an hour in a 55.
All right.
Let's see.
I mean, that's pretty quick. Yeah. I can't do the math. That's 35 miles, 45 miles.
35,
yeah. That's a lot of money, a lot of dollars per mile per hour over.
Yeah.
Begs the question, though, what was the worst or fastest you've got pulled over? I think I was on my way to Nashville in college and got pulled over. I know I was in excess of 90 because it was a really expensive ticket. So I was just listening to music and driving.
That would have been
my CDs. Those are these discs that music used to be on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was pulled over, I was listening to my 8-track.
Probably.
Actually, I never had an 8-track in a car, but I did have a cassette tape in a car,
Yeah.
and that was pretty spiffy.
Yeah.
So you were doing 90 and a 70. That was just 20 over.
Yeah.
I think that my worst was when I got pulled over in the Moody baseball parking lot. I want to say I was doing 57 and a 35. So I think I beat you
may have
actually.
beat me there, yeah.
And I was dead to rights, and Millie and Jonathan were in the car and a couple other boys, and I just knew I was done for, and I was just waiting on him to write the ticket and thinking about that I didn't have that, extra money to be, flushing down the drain that month. And he walked back up and he said, I think he asked where I was going to begin with. And I said, I'm taking Jonathan to baseball practice back here. That couldn't have hurt. I guess I could have been going a lot of places worse than that.
Yeah.
And so he walked back up, and I was ready for the ticket. I was stunned, and he just, gave me a warning, and that was it. And I just was dumbfounded that he let me off.
Did you cry? Or do you try to cry your way out of tickets? I know that's used sometimes.
Well,
that doesn't work for the males in society.
No. I felt like crying on a couple of occasions, but
I told my daughter to do that.
Yeah, it's good advice.
If she can work up a few tears, it helps.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
I don't know. My fastest over the speed limit occurred in Russia, actually. We used to fly into Moscow, rent a van, drive to our work, which was near Volgograd. Not really, that's the closest city. Tim, you've been to the place that we'd go to, this little village way out. And it was like a 25, 27-hour drive. Just so dull. And the first time I did it, I was excited to see the Russian landscape. Well, just think Kansas, but bigger. That's the Russian landscape. Just flat grass fields, a lot of sunflower fields. And it's kind of, the roads are terrible, but aside from that, there's nothing really to slow down for.
Mm-hmm.
No hills, no turns, in some places, no other traffic.
Really, the only reason to stop is to fix a flat tire, right?
Right, which we had to do many times.
Multiple occasions, yeah.
But I did get pulled over. It's in kilometers, too. Kilometers per hour. 110 kilometers per hour, that could be 35 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
It could be 80.
Yeah,
Who
I
knows?
have no clue what the conversion
right.
is.
Who's going to...
They need to get on the right system.
And I'm sure that van didn't have the MPH underneath it or whatever.
Who invented the car? Did the Russians invent the car? I don't think so. So let's put an MPH on that, baby.
Let's get some MPH underneath there, absolutely.
And drive. Anyway, this guy pulled me over. He was standing by the side of the road with a baton, but he also had an assault rifle strapped across his chest. So
a little
he was
more
holding the
effective
baton,
than...
but I think he could switch over pretty quickly if he needed to.
So he was a man with authority, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, he pulled us over, and he started jabbering at the interpreter. And listen to me, he's in his own country speaking his own language. I'm the one that was
Stop
jabbering.
that jabbering.
Yeah. Can't you speak English?
Yeah. But anyway, they talk. It seems like forever they're just talking. I don't know what they're talking about. And she turns to us. She looks a little exasperated, and she says, "Do you have any quarters?" And we're thinking, "What for?" And she said, "He's collecting these state quarters." You guys remember a few years back, they had commemorative state quarters,
right?
And they issue them over the course of a few years. It seemed like for 5 years they were doing them, and he apparently was collecting these. And we had a couple and gave them to him, and he looked at them, smiled, put them in his pocket, and waved us by. So I got out of that speeding ticket for 50 cents.
That's about as good of an outcome in Russia that you could probably... I'm thinking they're giving you quarters so that they can put them over your eyes after he finishes you off on the side of the road.
Pay the ferryman to take me over the river Styx. Yeah, I was pretty terrified.
I would have been a
I had to
nervous
change
wreck.
my shorts after that, but I was grateful to be able to get away.
We need to talk more. We need to talk more about Russia. Maybe we need to have a podcast about Russia one day, because one of the things that's just stamped into my memory is when we flew into Moscow and seeing those letters on the side of the airport and just thinking, I'm not supposed to be here.
It's the furthest away from my world I've ever been.
I really regret
Yeah,
I
it's
never
very
was able
different.
to make that trip.
Yeah.
I was in school when they were doing those trips, and I could not
Yeah.
ever get out. I think I was in elementary school while y'all were going as adults, but
Yeah, it was a while back. Anyway, that's good. $1.4 million speeding ticket. Wow. All right. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about sports. You know how into sports I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just eat it up.
when I see you, I think, now this guy loves sports.
Well, it's the muscular body frame.
No doubt.
My
your
Texas
team
Rangers
is about to win the World Series.
Tonight.
They are?
Tonight, what's the
Chances
score?
I don't know.
Anybody?
Game 5? Well, you
Let's
start
do it.
talking and we'll check it out.
Yeah, check the score out there, producer, whatever you are.
Do I have
Get us an update.
I have a title? All right.
Just gave you one.
right.
But team names, we're getting worse at this. And it seems like the newer the name, the worse it is. And it's not because we're running out of names. There are still a lot of good names that haven't been picked yet. Over the last few years, there's been some controversy related to the Native Americans and sensitivity towards them. So famously, the Cleveland Indians changed their name to what? The Guardians. Guardians. And what comes to what I think of when I think of Guardians is the Marvel movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy is the first thing
You know,
that comes. Yeah.
I'm thinking that's not a great team name to me.
No.
I don't think that's what they were thinking
And
of.
they'll keep that
But who
team
knows
name
what that
until
is?
some guardian comes forward and is offended by it.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's that actor's name?
Oh, I don't
Platt.
know. Yeah, I think maybe, yeah.
He comes up. He's offended.
I mean the
Or it's
Guardians.
trademarked or something.
The Guardians of the Galaxy would be the best case scenario. It's like, other than that, Legal Guardian? What a terrible team name, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
So just the other day, I was talking to a guy from Chattanooga, and I always think it's funny to say "Go Mocs" because of UT Chattanooga, and I've always thought the Mocs were water moccasins.
I was
But he-
thinking it's the reference to the shoes, the moccasins.
It is.
Oh,
are you
And that was
kidding me?
It's moccasins,
They're named
not
after
water
shoes?
moccasins. I think I heard moccasins one time and thought about the snake.
yeah. No, I was
But
thinking shoe.
You know, shoe.
That's crazy.
That's
But
got
that
to be
was
the
a
most comfortable
controversy.
team name.
Well, it was a controversy, and
I'm
they
sure.
changed the meaning of Mocs from the shoe to the mockingbird. So now their mascot is a mockingbird.
Oh, that
they can
just-
still go
That
Mocs.
just brought up a scene from
Mockingbird.
Dumb and Dumber where they're singing in a van that just really would
So
be their
now
theme song.
Mock is short for Mockingbird?
Yeah, mockingbird.
Why didn't they just go with a snake?
Seems like that would have been
scary.
scarier.
Your team name's supposed to be something
I think
scary, right?
I think in
Poison
today,
snake.
I think in today's world, we're worried so much about offending everybody that we just have to come up with ridiculous names.
So
that
they
have no
changed the
meaning.
name not because it was a Native American, but it was a Native American shoe.
I'm
Yeah,
wearing.
I'm glad y'all didn't know this.
I
because
am wearing driving mocks. I mean, these are considered
Yeah.
mocks. And
right.
do I need to call them driving shoes now?
I think you do.
Listen,
I think you need to.
we could. I know
Wow,
we could
this is
easily
crazy.
go off into why they changed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we might we might get into some dangerous territory doing that. So
Probably.
and that's
Yeah.
a disclaimer before
And-
I get into our Washington Redskins.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
Is anything more a part of the fabric of American culture than the Washington Redskins? I mean, that's just an old name, beloved name, but you know, some people were offended. Okay, you know,
And apparently
we need
that-
to respect
that one may be
other
in
cultures.
the like versus the Cleveland Indians, right? I could maybe buy the Redskins, perhaps. No, we probably need Craig to come in and speak to this one. He's a big Commanders
there
Washington
during
fan
that
or
time,
whatever,
yeah.
Redskins fan, right? But apparently maybe the Redskins is a little more of a derogatory term, but Indians seems to
But
be
do you
sort
remember
of
the
generic.
Indians'
But I guess-
image the logo.
Yeah.
That was bad.
That was cheesy. So change the image, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was a bad image.
It
Absolutely.
wasn't very nice.
Just do a feather or something, or I mean, who knows? But because the question
this is
here,
why we probably need.
right, because the question here, right, is so there's a problem with the Indians and the Redskins, but somehow the Chiefs and the Braves have
Well,
stayed
they just
okay,
don't back down.
and the Seminoles, right?
I'm
They've
just going to
all-
sit
all
here
those
with my
groups-
mouth
yes.
closed.
You can't
and
say
not get
anything?
myself in
You're
any
not in trouble?
Tim, all those groups have been asked to change.
Yeah.
They don't change.
I would
Now,
just say,
listen-
I had a friend who was a big Seminoles fan, and he told me that basically there was an agreement, with the Seminoles. There was like harmony between the school and the Seminole Nation, and basically there was an okay. Now that doesn't mean that there's still not people offended by it, but
no, but if you communicate with the leaders of the tribe and they are okay with it,
and maybe
they,
the Braves is okay or better because
that's not
it's Braves.
but they
right?
did
Right.
do,
by definition.
but
that
they
you're
did
brave.
get rid of my favorite mascot of all time,
Chief Nakahoma
Chief Nakahoma. I had a baseball signed by him for
Man.
years.
up there in that teepee in
Oh,
left
yeah.
field or whatever. That was awesome.
Come out and bang on the drums when they hit a home run.
Yeah, I can't talk anymore now.
I've already said way too much.
I knew we were going to have trouble getting off the why the
but
change.
all of this comes into this whole. Never mind. It's the whole
Well,
political
okay.
correctness. We can't be offended anymore.
That's true. Yeah. But I wanted to talk about, you mentioned what the Washington Redskins are known as now, the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what they were between Redskins and Commanders?
The Washington Football Club, right?
The Washington football team.
Team. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not talking about for a couple of weeks.
Right.
They wore that name for at least one season.
Yeah, a full season, if not
We have
two.
the Washington football team out there.
And
And
then
you
they
know
came
what?
out
How-
with the
that's
Commanders
and you know
of all
what?
things.
When they came out with the Commanders, they should have just stayed with Washington football team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
Commanders
Because
is
Commanders
terrible.
is terrible.
That's why it's
right?
on this list. I don't like it.
I've heard that the steel industry is very, very offended by the Steelers name, and that Pittsburgh may be having to make a change. I'm just
Yeah.
messing with a friend of
Sure.
ours. If
Yeah,
he
that one-
listens.
That's
What-
to see if somebody's listening.
They could have kept it real similar and just gone from the Washington Redskins to the Washington Red Tape. And there you go.
Oh yeah, there's a
That's
lot of
Just
red
go
tape in
political
Washington.
on it and
Well,
be
I
done
like
with
it.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that would have worked.
Was there a Washington Senators?
There was.
Was
That's
it-
the
what was
Texas
that?
Rangers.
Yeah, I
Okay,
was going to say,
all
that's
right.
a,
wait a
was a
second. Is that
baseball
right?
team.
Is that right? Did they go? Maybe that's the Minnesota Twins. They went somewhere.
Well,
Okay, I
that you know,
should've-
Senators
It was
is not
before I was
terrible.
born,
But
so I
but
don't
yeah,
remember.
but
That's kind of
but
cool.
the Washington Nationals. That's
No.
terrible.
Yeah, I didn't put that on the list, but that's one I don't like.
The Washington Wizards.
Terrible.
It's
No,
two
it's
W's.
Awful.
But,
Because
but
what were they
but
before?
The Bullets.
That's a great name. Now, you know why they changed it from the Bullets?
Because bullets
Crime
kill
was
people.
so bad. Crime was so bad in Washington, D.C., maybe still is,
Right.
that it was an embarrassment to call their team the Bullets.
Yeah.
So they went to the Wizards.
The Wizards. That's weak.
That's on my list. That's
yeah,
terrible.
That's awful.
Now, this is going to hit a little close to home,
All right.
but I'm going to go there.
Go.
I got a pair of them here, and you'll know where I'm going. The Dartmouth College Indians changed their name to the Big Green. Nobody knows why. I guess their team colors were green.
We would assume
And then that
so.
brings
Or
me
it was
to
the Jolly Green Giant as their mascot, maybe.
It'd be really weird if they were orange and they were called
oh,
the Big Green.
Giant. Well, that would be strange. That brings me to the two-lane green wave.
The Green Wave.
Two-lane green wave.
RGR.
RGR, but I will say the Green Wave is a very strange.
We're used
name,
to it
yeah.
in
Because it's
Leeds
our-
where we
yeah.
live. And I guess we got it from Tulane.
I would
Is there
assume
some
so, yeah.
relationship between Leeds
Unless
and
it's
Tulane?
the Leeds version of the Crimson Tide, which is another kind
Well,
of a strange
I always
one.
thought that until I realized Tulane was green wave.
Yeah.
It might be a little of both, but it
is strange,
It's totally
though.
meaningless.
Yeah, a green wave.
It sounds like toxic waste.
It does.
No offense to our wonderful players.
That's
the
right.
Green
We
Wave.
love the Green Wave.
Love them.
Love their mascot, the giant broccoli.
Yeah, it looks like an asparagus.
It really does. All right, so
Now it's
you
getting
talking
more
about the
inside
wizards.
here for our
Yeah.
for our listener. If you don't know about the giant broccoli, come see us.
Thursday
Oh.
night, 6
If you
o'clock.
live around here, you've seen it. Okay, so the New Orleans Hornets changed their name to the Pelicans. Why? Do you know the story on that? Hornets is great.
It
Yeah.
came from the Charlotte Hornets
Yeah,
when they
that was
moved
the
down
deal.
there.
They did.
They moved down there. The Charlotte Hornets got the name back. So Charlotte
this was because Hornets was so good.
I think
You had people
maybe
fighting
so.
over
So Charlotte
Hornets.
So the Charlotte franchise moved to New Orleans, was known as the Hornets. Charlotte was given a new franchise called the Bobcats. I think the Bobcats was not liked, and the Hornets I don't think fit with New Orleans, right? So
It's better
the
than
Hornets,
Pelican.
the Hornets got that name back, and New Orleans changed to the Pelicans.
But the pelican is at least kind of a cool bird. I saw a pelican get caught on a fishing trip one time. We were in Florida. My dad threw the line with a shrimp on it, and a pelican swoops down and catches it. And when Dad set the hook, it was impressive. But we reeled the pelican in and had to get the hook out of the pelican, and that is a big, strong bird. So I
just
that
cut
one I'm
the
okay
line.
with.
All right,
I'd
I
cut
see
the
your
line.
list. I read your
Yeah.
list, and because I was about to say while we're in New Orleans, so the New Orleans basketball team before the Pelicans and the Hornets was the New Orleans Jazz. A great name for a New
For
Orleans,
New
team.
Orleans.
But they
That
went to
franchise
Utah.
went
For
to Utah
Utah.
and kept the name. So, I mean, while we're changing, why in the world did you not bring the
It makes
Jazz
no
back?
sense.
I mean, that's a great name for a New Orleans team. It's perfect. And it means zero out in Salt Lake City.
No. What about the Utah door knockers
I like it.
or short sleeve dress shirt wearers?
Or the Utah Tabernacle Choir or something like that.
Name
Yeah.
tags.
Yeah, we may need to cut that. Here's the end of my list here. Most of these are ones we've become accustomed to, but they're terrible. Oakland A's, which is for athletics. Go Athletics!
That one is. That's
They
a good
didn't.
one.
They spent like 2 seconds thinking that up.
Great,
They're trying to move.
great
to-
colors.
They're talking about moving them to Las
Bad
Vegas.
team. Yeah, with all the rest of the
Las
Oakland
Vegas
teams or
A's.
whatever.
Yeah.
They've got the Raiders already.
Los Angeles Clippers.
I
Is
don't
that
even
like
know
a
what
ship?
that means. I would assume
Clippers or like
They were
hair
they
grooming
were in
device?
they were in San Diego. Does that help? I think maybe it is a ship. The San
'Cause
Diego
San Diego's
Clippers.
a port city.
I think so. And so maybe it was about a ship, and then they moved to
But
Los Angeles from
San
San Diego.
Diego,
Yeah,
Newfoundland, wherever you are on the seacoast,
Clippers is weak.
is not
Yeah,
good. It's
no.
a ship.
It is.
Let's get a dangerous animal.
that's right. It needs to be a
And-
dangerous animal.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll even take the barnacles. I'm just
Somebody-
thinking that's a cool name.
It's better than clippers.
It is.
Barnacles eat clippers. This is like
Yeah.
rock, paper, scissors.
It's true.
If you can think of something that eats your mascot, you need to go to the thing that eats it.
I think
Or if
that's a
every
good-
team that
I
you
like that.
play, your mascot would be subdued by their mascot,
It's time for
It's time for a
change.
new one.
you got to have a new
Yeah.
one.
Does anybody know? I'm guessing Tim does because we haven't stumped him yet.
No, not
What's
yet.
the backstory on the Cleveland Browns? Because that sounds like a number 2 to me.
And not the pencil.
That's great.
And not the pencil.
I believe so. The Cleveland Browns were owned by Paul Brown, and I
Oh.
think they were named after him, if I'm not mistaken.
That's bad.
Yeah, it's really
That's real
bad.
bad.
Just like the Cleveland Browns. That's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And last and least, the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors.
I'm going to leave that one
That's
alone.
for real.
I have nothing.
I think they were
I
originally
plead the
the
fifth.
Rainbows.
Yeah,
Because I didn't believe this, and I had to do some fact checking, and there were some complaints about the rainbows, so they added warriors to the end of it to make it a little meaner.
I mean, you could be
It
the
didn't work.
volcanoes. You could be the lava.
Yes.
the University of Hawaii lava. That'd be
That's
awesome.
a tough one.
What's
That's
the
a
name
tough
of that Disney guy? The Hawaiian Disney guy.
Moana.
Is Moana the rock guy? The Moanas?
The only character from that one I know is Hey Hey the chicken.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
tune
all.
the animated stuff. I can't. It's just white noise. No.
So I'm going to pick up. You're done with your list.
I'm
You
done.
said the last one. So we're on the heels of Halloween. This is the November 1st, so we're just a day away from Halloween. This is my second Halloween-related thing on the podcast. But I was reading today, just reading some articles and looking for goofy articles. And it said, I found an article, and I'll read you the title of it. There are Halloween costumes that are actually illegal in Alabama. Now, these have laws on the books
kidding.
against them. So it says you'll see tons of Barbies and Kens tonight, perhaps some Taylor Swifts and Travis Kelce's, and of course you'll have all your normal witches, vampire, ghosts, and goblins. But if you're in Alabama, there are some costumes you might want to skip, not because they're scary or uncomfortable, but because they are, at least in the technical sense, illegal. According to Section 13A 14-4 of the Alabama Code, dressing up as a priest, nun, or other clergy member is a misdemeanor.
Impersonating a clergyman.
Here's what the code says. Whoever being in a public place fraudulently pretends by garb or outward array to be a minister of any religion or nun, priest, rabbi, or other member of the clergy is guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $500 or confinement in the county jail for not more than 1 year or by both such fine and imprisonment. And this law was passed by the Alabama legislature in 1965.
Jason, I think that would include a blue blazer, a clip-on tie, and a casserole. Because we got to include all the clergymen, including the country preachers.
I think
right?
so.
I like it.
So I was thinking, if you're going to dress like a preacher or a member of the clergy these days, how do you know how to dress? Do you go three-piece suit, with the tie?
Not
Or do you
anymore.
go skinny leg jeans, white tennis shoes, a lot of gel in your hair?
Tattoos.
I mean, I have the beard for it. I definitely have that. I don't think the sweater vest puts me in.
You got it. I don't know. I've seen the sweater
yeah,
vest a lot.
Yeah.
There's all these memes with the different ones. That would be the community church preacher, right?
That's right. Yeah,
With the
there's some
skinny
really good
jeans
ones
and
out
the-
there. And do youth ministers, if you dress like a youth minister, which generally means, no offense to ours, your shirt tail's untucked. I just wonder what all this would include. So, I mean, obviously, if you're dressed like a nun, that's an easy one. If you've got on the priest with the little white collar, that makes sense. But how do they know?
I saw a lot
I
of
doubt
costumes
anyone's been
yesterday,
convicted.
and I did not see anybody breaking that law.
Yeah.
Which
It's a
is
good
interesting
thing.
because the Exorcist movie,
Yeah.
there's a new Exorcist movie. Seems like there'd be some people dressing up like priests.
Well, Drew, I'm not sure because I saw some people who seemingly had no costume on but had a bag wanting candy. And so perhaps they were dressed as one of the variation of the clergy that we've been talking about here.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Maybe they were a youth minister or community church preacher. I didn't see anybody
Or a
with a clip-on
freeloader.
tie.
But how
Yeah.
about if you do this, according to this law, you can be fined up to $500 or jail for not more than 1 year. That's a bit excessive, I think. Just a bit excessive.
I think I'm going to start filtering all the people that come through my yard next year, right? Because we give away a lot of candy, and I've got to make it last longer next year. It only lasted till about 7:15 this year, and so I think I'm going to say, are you dressed as a member of the clergy? And if they are, I'm just going to call the police.
What if you called the police every
It's
time
your
you
civic
saw
duty.
a nun walk by at Halloween? It'd be interesting anyway. But I just thought that was a funny little story. And it says it's
learned
not
something.
clear if anyone in Alabama has ever been prosecuted for violating the law or even why it was adopted in the first place.
Wow.
Interesting law.
Very good.
1965, that's not too distant past.
No. But, Jason, you made it through another Halloween.
I did. I'm glad it's over. There was a couple of really scary kids in clown masks that I had to go inside for a minute. But other than that, survived Halloween.
Nice.
And Tim, you're the real survivor because you live in Halloween Central.
I do. And I had to tell the kids, there were a group of kids coming into my yard, and I said, I'm out. And every year I have so much candy, and have some friends that come over that have candy that their kids are trick-or-treating in the neighborhood, and they just bring their candy and pass it out with me. And so when it starts, it's like 5:30, and I'm thinking, I'll never give all this candy away. I'm going to have 5 gallons of candy left. And I start giving everybody like a handful of candy. And then
Got to pace yourself.
And then at like 7 o'clock, it's like, what was I doing? Here's one jawbreaker, and because listen, if you're giving away a 5-gallon bucket of candy plus a big tray of candy, there's a lot of trash in there.
There is.
There are a lot of dots,
individual little pieces too.
There are dum-dums in there.
What about sugar daddies?
There were a number of sugar
Nobody
daddies in
likes
there.
The sugar daddies.
Millie and I have a heated debate, but there are Tootsie Rolls in there, which I categorize as trash candy.
I 100% agree.
Second that.
She loves, I hate. Now, the flavored Tootsie Rolls that you get at Halloween are a little bit better, but those Tootsie Rolls, those Tootsie Rolls are almost as bad as the generic orange and black wrapped, like peanut butter candy or something like that. The super trash.
Kind, yeah.
You know what Tootsie Rolls did? They ruined Blow Pops because they then made the Tootsie Pops. What a way to ruin a sucker.
I gave away a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Trash suckers.
You know why? Because they're cheap.
That's right.
And you can buy them in bulk.
Except this year, nothing was cheap.
No. I took out a second mortgage to buy candy
today.
to give out this
Wowzer.
year.
Yeah, it is cheap today.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start having Halloween at our house on November 2nd.
That'll work.
Or let's just go buy all the leftover candy on clearance and just put it up till next year.
That's a great idea.
It's time to go over our quotation for the week. And so we've got one attributed to Elbert Hubbard, whom I never heard of until I saw the quote. So we won't spend a whole lot of time on him, but he said at least one wise thing in his life, I think.
I love this quote.
Yeah, this is good. Memorable. To avoid criticism, do nothing, say nothing, be nothing. And I think where I'd like to start with that is, it's very tempting to do nothing, say nothing, be nothing, because nobody likes criticism. Especially the kind of, I don't think he's talking about constructive criticism here. He's talking about the hurtful, mean-spirited criticism that is not trying to help in any way. Not the wisdom the Proverbs tells us, to...
Yeah, but I think even if we're being completely honest, we don't always like constructive criticism either.
True.
I mean, it's useful, it's good, but sometimes it still hurts. It still hurts. Yeah.
We say, I don't mind constructive criticism, and then when it comes, well, we do mind it.
Yeah. Anytime someone goes against something you've said or points out a flaw or criticizes you, whether they're intentional in doing it for good or intentionally doing it for bad, it's hard to find out, maybe I was wrong. I think I have a hard time admitting that, and that's probably why I don't like criticism a whole lot.
Yeah. And it's when we're criticized at the wrong time, whether it's constructive or not, it can be particularly hurtful. Right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, there are situations where you're in a better place for, criticism, right? And sometimes criticism is just like, you did great, but here's something you could do better, right? It's not like, I gotcha, and you're in the wrong, and here's why you're in. So sometimes it's just, it's like stages of, how you can be better at something. But sometimes when you poured yourself into something, right, and that criticism comes along, even if well intended, and it just sort of wipes
and unsolicited.
You out.
I think sometimes we just need to mind our own business.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this isn't about. We're spending a lot of time on the criticism part of this, but it's the quote. I realize is more about taking a stand and standing up for things and believing in things. But sometimes on the criticism side of it, we just need to mind our own business. I mean, this person's not looking for any helpful advice. Maybe you know something about it, but hey, it's not your place, or like you said, it's not the time. So just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. And I think sometimes ask yourself, am I bringing up this criticism because I'm trying to help this person be better, or I'm trying to make myself feel better? I need to say it for me.
Something I want people to know that I know.
Yeah, that's the other side of it, is what's the motive behind the criticism.
Right. Sometimes it can even be, this is just, I'm sort of a weirdo about stuff or something, and let me give you an example. Let's say Drew's just killed it all week, working on a lesson. He's up there, he's presenting, he knocks it out of the ballpark or whatever, and he comes out, and I say to him, hey, did you see that misspelled word on that slide up there? And it can just be because I can't keep my mouth shut because I saw something and I can't keep it inside. I just, I have the inability to not express that I found your typo or something, right? And then on the other side of it, it's like just taking a baseball bat and hitting Drew in the back of the head, because, for me to relieve myself of the, of my spell checking, I've knocked down the real purpose of what he's been working at and that kind of thing. Sometimes, and that's why when we decide that we're going to criticize somebody else, we need to be super careful about that and think about, is this the right time? Am I doing it in the right spirit? And is it worth doing at all?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a gotcha thing. I think the statute of limitations is out on this, so I can tell the story. But one day after a sermon, a young man came up to me. He had a little folded note, handed it to me. He said, "Put that in your pocket and look at it later when you get home." And so I looked at it as soon as he walked out the door, and it said it was 1 Corinthians, not 2 Corinthians. And it was just a typo on my slide.
Yeah.
And it didn't... it irritated me more than anything. It didn't really hurt my feelings.
I know this is not necessarily what you were
we're way off the track of
wanting
what I
to do
was
with
thinking
this.
about.
But I've got one.
We're building up to it.
Yeah, we're going to get there.
We're
going to get there. I got to tell you this one, and I've probably told both of y'all this story before, but I want to tell our listener. For 25 years or whatever, right? Did Vacation Bible School every summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided one year that, so many people work really hard at Vacation Bible School, and they really pour themselves into that work, and do all kinds of different things. It's a very creative time, and I really like it. I like it for a lot of reasons. And so I decided one year that during Vacation Bible School, but I would always get really stressed. I'd get really stressed and really tired during Vacation Bible School. And I decided one year that while we're all thinking about Vacation Bible School, I would send out a survey for Vacation Bible School. And I thought this will be a great time to get tons of great ideas, and we'll make next year's better than it's ever been before, because everybody will have these fresh ideas. I'll capture them and we'll knock it out of the park next year. And so I sent out the survey, and people responded to the survey, and I got madder than maybe I've been in a long, long time. And, sometimes it's like if you ask for criticism, maybe you need to be ready to accept the criticism. But, I was worn out. I had poured myself, why do I keep saying pour myself into something, right?
Because you do.
But, had really, it was like, right at that point in time, you can't tell the difference between VBS and you, right? It's like VBS is me. And so you start getting this feedback, and it's like, well, I didn't really like the way we did this. What? I just wanted to hear something new you wanted to do, not that there was anything wrong with what we're doing. So sometimes one of the lessons I learned out of that is if you want feedback of a critical nature, decide you want it before you ask for it.
I know a preacher who quit his job for something like that. He decided at the end of the year to put out evaluation forms. The church filled it out. He got them. He quit.
Wow.
Because they were so negative.
But the reason you received that is because you were doing something. You were saying something.
Thank
you
you,
were
Jason.
being
There we
something.
go.
And
We're
if you had sat back and done nothing and said nothing,
There'd
and
be
been
nothing to criticize or
there would have been
compliment.
no criticism there.
Yeah, and that's where we're going with this.
In
quote.
our
Absolutely.
doing, we are often criticized. In our
Yeah.
apathy and our stillness, there's not a lot to criticize.
If you're going to try to change things and grow an organization, grow a church, then you're going to run into bumps along the road and you're going to ruffle some feathers. You shouldn't go looking for that. But I would say that if none of that is happening, you go through 5 years of ministry, for example, and everybody is just pleased and the status quo has never been challenged, you're not growing.
No.
Growth is change, and change is uncomfortable, and people get uncomfortable and they complain about it.
And if you're not facing some criticism or some hardship in what you're trying to do, then you've got to ask, am I actually making any impact in what I'm doing? Because if you're making impact, there's always people that are going to want to drag you back down or give you their opinion on how you could do things better. But if you're comfortable sitting back on the sidelines just observing the world going on around you, you're not going to receive a lot of that criticism.
The biblical word for this is lukewarm, right? Revelation 3, the letter to the Laodiceans. You are neither hot nor cold, so I will spit you out of my mouth.
Yep.
It makes Jesus sick to his stomach when we just stay in the middle.
And just
Try not
exist.
just try not to grow, try not to shrink, just appease everybody, make everybody happy, which is impossible. It's just not God's plan for us.
It reminded me of the one talent man in the parable of the talents. It's not that he didn't do anything with the money. He protected it. He saved it. He didn't lose it and squander it. But it was the fact that he didn't pursue growth with it. I mean, he kind of just held on to it to his own harm ultimately in the end. And it's a pretty rough reprimand that the master gives him when he returns, and he says, well, here's your one talent. I knew you were kind of a scary guy, so I didn't want to lose it, so I didn't invest it. I just kind of buried it, and you can have your money back. You can have your talent back. And that was not, he was not rewarded for his lack of action and lack of effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this quote is obviously saying, don't be like this, right? That's the point of this is, realize that when you're out there trying, criticism's going to come. And hopefully all of us, as we grow, get a little better at dealing with criticism. That's tough. And just like I said, based on the timing and the situation, it can really get at you. But one of the things that I think all of us have to do, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but at some point you have to value yourself, right? You have to say, at least I'm trying, right? I don't mean that I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but it's like, just because you're criticizing me doesn't mean that everything that comes out of your mouth is warranted. If it's that damaging kind of criticism, maybe it's going to be good and I can take it into consideration, but it doesn't knock down what your value and what you're attempting to do. All of us make mistakes, right? So all of us are due some criticism along the way, but I think,
some of the criticism is unfair.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know if I agree with the old. I understand where it's coming from, but the advice: take the criticism, take the good part, and throw the rest away. Separate the wheat from the chaff. Sometimes it's all chaff.
Sure, it is.
Sometimes it's all chaff. In other words, some people say every criticism, you can learn something from every criticism. I'm not sure that's
There's
true.
some criticism you just need to throw the whole thing away and act like it never happened.
Some people are just jealous, or they don't like change, and they're going to criticize because they don't want to get involved and be a part of the solution.
And I'm going to say something, I think it's a little uncomfortable, but I think it's very true, and I'll stand behind this. A lot of times, the biggest critics are the ones who do nothing, say nothing, and involve themselves in nothing.
That's
They sit on the
evidently
sidelines.
true. Yeah.
And they observe everything going on around them. They don't help. They don't offer support. They don't involve themselves in it. They just observe. And they pick and see every problem that they can find according to their perspective. And they'll bring you the problem, but they're not willing to work at all for the solution. And that's a big problem. And sometimes that's where I think one of you said you just got to consider the source of where it's coming from. But I think to avoid criticism, sure, you can sit back and do nothing and say nothing and be nothing. But at the same time, if you're not willing to put yourself out there, you also shouldn't be criticizing. You should avoid being critical of others.
Yeah. I wanted to put a twist on this one.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Proverbs do in the Bible. There's some good advice here, too, in how you should avoid criticism sometimes. In other words, there are times when you should do nothing, say nothing, be nothing. Maybe not be nothing, but there are times when you should do nothing and say nothing because you don't have all the evidence yet. And there are so many examples in our culture right now about this. I'll bring up the Israeli-Palestinian conflict going on right now. Major awful events happen, and usually the first ones to talk on Twitter, social media, even the news, they're usually the ones that wind up being wrong.
Sure.
And you talk about making your own life miserable because you were impatient or you wanted to get the scoop. That's a world of hurt right there. The rest of your life, you'll be the person who was wrong about fill in the blank. And we all have a voice on social media now, if you choose to have an account, which if you don't, that puts you in probably the smartest layer of people in humanity. But, it's unavoidable in some ways. It's just with us. There's so much misinformation out there, and people are so quick to react when really they need to just keep their mouths shut. And I wish I had some of these proverbs right in front of me about how a wise person restrains his words, keeps his mouth closed, but the fool will babble all the time. That's not the intention of this quotation, but it's a place
really
my
good
mind
twist
went.
on it that I'd not thought about.
It will draw fire. If you speak up, you will draw fire. So it's kind of like what Tim was saying. Be ready for the reaction. Make sure you're right about it in what you want to do and what you want to say and who you want to be. You can be right about it. You can go to the Bible and see what truth is and stand for truth. But make sure it's like what Peter says at the end of 1 Peter 4. If you suffer for being a Christian, glorify God in that name.
Yep.
But don't suffer for being a criminal. suffer for being a Christian.
Well, and if we are truly being Christian, we need to expect there to be some suffering. If we are truly going out and spreading the gospel of Christ, then Scripture tells us you should see some persecution, some criticism, people pushing back against you. We're promised that as Christians, that if you are living righteously and spreading God's word, you're going to get some pushback.
Yeah.
And maybe, in relation to this quote, something that we can always remember is if we're getting some criticism, we're trying something. We're not in the do nothing, say nothing, be nothing category. Mm-hmm. And so, we're out there trying. While you were talking about the folks on the sidelines, I was thinking about those two grumpy old guys on the Muppet Show up in the
Waldorf and
gallery.
Statler.
Up in the gallery. What'd they always do? They criticized everything that was going on because they were sitting up there doing nothing.
They were never in the show.
Never in the show. And so there's a lot of people who live their life up there in the gallery watching what's going on in the show. And boy, they can point out everything that's going on. But what are they doing? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're really trying hard and somebody's hit you over the head with some criticism that's unfair or maybe it was constructive, it doesn't mean you have to quit what you're doing. Learn what you can from it. Or maybe just throw it away. Make adjustments you need to make adjustments to. But go back to what you know and try again. It's not a sign that you need to quit or that you're a failure or fraud.
That's it. Most of all, don't quit. Don't
Yeah.
quit. Whatever you're doing for good, whatever you're doing that's beneficial to your life, your family, your church, whatever it is, don't quit. Don't allow criticism to make you become nothing.
And look at the people that are offering the criticism. There's so much importance in that. The two of you I've known for 22 years. If you come to me and you're critical about something I am doing, I'm going to listen to you because I've spent a lot of years with you. I've shared a lot of meals, a lot of discussions. We've been through some ups and downs together. But there are some people when they come to you with criticism that the best thing you can do is just say, thank you, turn around, walk away, and don't ever think about it again.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's so easy to get back on the topic of criticism here, right? Because it's so impactful. But one of the things when you're thinking about criticizing someone else, giving some criticism to someone else, a good litmus test is, what have I ever said to this person? Have I ever been encouraging to this person in any way? Mm. And so it's the only thing I'm ever going to be known for in their eyes is that I'm criticizing them about something. If it goes along with what you were just saying, right? About, we can criticize each other because we've built a history, right? And I'll take, anything that I hear from you guys very seriously, and I'll know where it's coming from because of the history, right? If you guys have never said boo to me and you're going to be critical about something, it's like, who does this guy think he is, right? That's the natural tendency to think when you receive that kind of thing. So, maybe for all of us, if we're ever thinking about saying something critical to somebody, what have you said in any other kind of sense? What kind of history do you have with these people? Because nobody's going to accept, hey, the first words that I ever heard from that guy was something negative or harsh or critical.
Yeah, it's not a great way to start a relationship.
No.
Not at all. Well, that's about our time, guys. Any parting words?
I feel like we just trampled all over that quote in some way. I don't know. Maybe we didn't, but it's like...
That's what we do.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess maybe dissected it is a better word.
we
way
dissected
than
it, we
trampled
criticized it.
We camped on the criticism maybe a little, but
I think we
that's
revealed
because-
some things psychologically about
was gonna
ourselves.
No doubt.
I think
Maybe
obviously
it wasn't
we
the right
all-
time to talk about this.
we are probably all harboring some problems with criticism in our lives.
I'm currently laying on the couch right now as we finish this podcast.
I'll make notes in my journal
And
about
how
this
did
later
that make
tonight.
you feel?
That's our time tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, so that you know the next episode that's coming up. We'll be back next time with a new quotation on passive